Dr. Caruso, I know that you've done some work on creating EI tools for young people. And as someone who's worked with youth for a while, along with most of our listeners, I and you probably as well have heard people say all those dismissive things we can say about youth. They're inherently selfish, they're not especially resilient, they are younger than the youth were a generation ago, et cetera, et cetera. I'm curious from your experience and research, how you think youth generally are at emotional intelligence. Do they do a better job of this than we tend to give them credit for?
That's easy. Yes, the answer is yes. So, next question. Yeah. So it depends on the age, but even very young children, pre-K, kindergartners, are talking about these things. And I think they vastly outpace most of us adults in terms of their awareness, their openness, and frankly, their emotional vocabulary. A lot more sophisticated than many of us adults. So, but that's kind of not the view of some people that they have. They have that dismissive, you know, and they use, language which I won't hear, just to dismiss how youth of today lack resilience. But talking about how you feel is not necessarily, it's an indicator of lacking resilience. It indicates a huge amount of self-awareness, and validation, which children have always lacked from adults. That part's nothing's new there. Again, what is new is that we're allowing these conversations to happen in classrooms. That's socio-emotional learning. You hear about this all the time. Some programs are better than others, of course, but we're encouraging children, teens to talk about this, to be more aware, to look at emotions as a form of data. But then we're putting them into a world with adults who don't have those skills and who don't have the language, and they are flummoxed. Like, what do I do with that? So I want to be careful about casting blame and throwing stones around here, but I don't think saying the youth of today are less resilient is necessarily accurate. It's definitely not helpful. And I don't think it is accurate. They're just talk about this more. And it may make us uncomfortable because we as adults may now lack the skills like, oh my gosh, now what do I do? And now I'm overwhelmed. I'm shutting down. I'm suppressing my feelings. And you've just made me really uncomfortable.
Yep. I actually wonder sometimes if the adults' dismissive tone of youth in this way is more of a projection of what they're experiencing inside of themselves and their discomfort around these conversations sometimes.
Yeah. And fear, like, now what do I do? Ask me something I can talk to you about. There's something about theology. I've studied that. I went to divinity school. I have a really good answer for that, but not about emotions. I didn't really look at that very carefully. So I'm out of my depth here.
Yeah.